What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Six Flags. What do I even have to say about Six Flags? They've had so many ups and downs in the past, and their past is a roller coaster of its own. And today, I want to look at a certain part of Six Flags' past. Not the rides that many people enjoyed before they're demolished. No, I'm talking about rides that were never built entirely. Attractions that relate to Six Flags parks that were planned, but ended up getting scrapped before anything was laid on the ground. Today we are going to be digging into my Never Built series, but only talking about attractions at Six Flags parks. This includes rides, resorts, and even entire parks within their own. This is Cedar Flags, and today I'm going to be going over the best Six Flags attractions that were never built. In the 1990s, Six Flags was experiencing extremely rapid growth, especially in the late 90s, but they did not have a single park in the New England region of the United States, and at the time, there was not a single major park in this region, but Six Flags wanted to change that. It was one of their main focuses to provide entertainment for the New England residents. So their first attempt at doing this was not what you expect. Instead of buying a smaller park and adding onto it, they wanted to buy a plot of land and build a park from scratch, from the ground up. They bought a 200-acre plot of land across the street from the Foxwoods Casino in North Stonington, Connecticut. This was going to be the first step of a huge tourism boom in the small town. It was going to be a $200 million theme park, like I said, operated by Six Flags. But not a lot is known about the continuation of the story. But most likely this was cancelled because of the local residents not wanting all of the traffic. But ironically, Six Flags decided that they did not want to give up on their New England park dream. 3 years later, Six Flags bought Riverside Park, just a few miles up the bend, and they turned it into one of their mega parks, Six Flags New England, which still thrives today. Up next, we go to Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois, near Chicago. This is a great Six Flags park that I've personally gotten to visit, and when it comes to their tallest roller coaster, it is Raging Bull, at a drop height of over 208 feet in height. But in 1998, they were supposed to build something even taller. That is right. If you don't know, the park has a height limit, and the park needs to ask the local government for permission every time they want to build a roller coaster of a certain height or higher. And there was a public proposal by Six Flags in the late 1990s for a 225-foot coaster. And it was going to be located in the back of the park near Iron Wolf, which is now modern-day Goliath Spot. This was heavily speculated to be a Premier Shuttle roller coaster, as Six Flags was working with Premier heavily back then, with their two Mr. Freeze clones and Batman and Robin the Chiller. This was heavily speculated to be a scaled-up version of Mr. Freeze, having the same elements but a taller spike. Anyways, this ended up not happening because it was likely pulled since the Chiller was an operational nightmare at the time. Thankfully for the Great America fans, they got something pretty similar with Flash, then known as V2. For the next Never Built attraction, we are staying right at Great America, but not talking about a brand new roller coaster or ride, but a whole resort outside of the park. In the late 1990s, like I said, Six Flags was growing extremely fast, and they combined with Prism Development to make a massive 134-acre property across of the I-94 about a mile from the park. This would be a massive area known as the Great America Entertainment Village, and it was the first step in pushing guests to experience Great America as a destination park instead of a local park. This would allow an owned hotel by Six Flags and would allow guests to stay multiple days and enjoy other attractions than just the park. This area would include a resort hotel, shops and restaurants, a 12,000-seat arena, an ice rink, and a water park, which they did not have at the time. We don't really know why this one went away as well as the Connecticut one, but like I said, we do have a little bit of speculation. It is a big rumor that this was probably just a major investment. This was such a big and bold investment that would have changed the park forever, and maybe would have been a little too bold at the time. But fortunately for Great America, they eventually got their water park in the mid-2000s with Hurricane Harbor. Up next, we go from Six Flags Great America to Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey, and they were experiencing their biggest expansion of all time in the mid-2000s when they added both King de Ka, the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster, and El Toro, the first and only of its kind in America and one of the greatest wooden coasters on the planet. But they were not done. In fact, they were planning on building a massive hotel. Now, it's funny because many people complain about the fact that there are no hotels near Great Adventure. The nearest hotel is 10 miles away, and for a park as big as Great Adventure, that's a pretty big problem. They were attempting to face that issue head on in 2005 when they planned on a massive resort hotel. This hotel would feature a prime location right next to the park, 500 rooms, 6 restaurants, lodge-style architecture, and lots of theming. This would have been a very intricate resort hotel with a pool area and an arcade, and it was, like the Great America project, a massive project to make Six Flags Great Adventure a destination park. And we also do not know really the fate of this. I don't know why that's a recurring theme for this video, but we could assume that it was because this was around the time that Six Flags was losing profit, and after El Toro, instead of continuing to expand, they decided to cancel the plans altogether. For our final location, we are going to go back to the Midwest to the great state of Indiana to talk about Six Flags Indiana, one of my favorite quote-unquote never built attractions of all time. And the story starts all the way back in 1983, when a family-owned amusement park called the Old Indiana Fun Park opened up to the public. This was open for just over a decade, operating 2 roller coasters during its lifespan, but suffering pretty big economic problems in the 90s, and the park eventually folded in 1996. But new hope arose for the property when Six Flags bought it around this time. They were doing really good economically and saw a future for this park. And when they planned on redeveloping it, they went in full swing. In fact, they decided to relocate roller coasters to this park. 2 from the recently purchased by Six Flags Riverside Park, Black Widow and Arrow's Shuttle Looper, and Little Ricky's Little Twister and Alan Herschel Little Dipper. And if you thought that was a lot, they decided to relocate 4 roller coasters from the then closed Opryland in Tennessee. One was Chaos, which is a very rare model of the Vekoma Illusion, the Rockin' Roller Coaster, which was an Arrow Mine Train, the Screamin' Delta Demon, which was an Intamin bobsled, and then the Welsh Cannonball, which was an Arrow Corkscrew. To say the least, this would have been an absolutely massive project, and would have quadrupled the amount of coasters at this park. It would have been a crazy feat, but unfortunately, by July of 2002, Six Flags did not see a future in this property, and decided to sell it to a nature group, which really hasn't done anything for the area either. It's a pretty sad story to think about, but could you imagine a Six Flags in Indiana? Now, before I get off of this video, I would just like to say 2 things. One, I have sources in the description below if you want to look at them. I know I haven't gotten the best at providing them in the past, but now I do. And 2, you might be thinking about Six Flags Dubai, and I talked about that in a past video, which I will leave in the description. Anyways, this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you all later.